Do you know about Association of Indian Management Schools? It's a 34-year-old networking body of B schools in India, having a membership of about 600 top management institutions. AIMS focuses on professionalization of management education, protects interests of B schools, represents management institutions at national and international forums, financially supports members in academic events, funds research projects on management, disseminates management-related knowledge through its annual Management Education Convention, conferences, seminars, roundtables and workshops, organizes free weekly webinars on knowledge sharing and inspiring young leaders sessions for management faculty and students, supports B schools in admissions through Atma, AIMS test for management admissions. Visit https://atmaims.com for more details. Publishes a biannual AIMS Journal of Management. Visit https://aimsjournal.com for more details. Circulates a quarterly e-newsletter on AIMS activities. Conducts workshops on case writing. Encourages AIMS members to be part of decision-making processes as members of chapter management committees and the executive board. Encourages students' participation in free weekly quiz competitions by providing support to interested institutions. Facilitates networking and interaction among B schools. Why would you like to remain a non-member of AIMS? Pay a very low one-time membership fee and enjoy many lifetime benefits. Visit https://aims.org.in for more details.
as well as accreditation management. Talking about Siddharth has started his journey long back in 2013 when he graduated from MIT Pune He moved to US to get master's degree in engineering management. While working there, Siddharth had an opportunity to work with Abbott instructors. Since most of the universities in US are going for Abbott accreditations, he started working with them. Based on his experience for 2 years while studying in the University of Southern California, he decided to come back and work on national education policy more to provide a different approach through a platform where professors, universities, and institutes can work together on their accreditations. Then he started his own company back in 2018, naming CleverGround Technologies Private Limited. First, we developed LMS, Learning Management System, and slowly we moved to ERP and accreditation management systems. And right now, two of the top universities in Pune, as well as one from the southern part of India, using a particular platform to basically achieve their accreditations. So right now we are going to start this session. Before that, I have some instructions for you. During the session, participants cannot unmute themselves. They may use Zoom chat box. Questions will be answered during QA session at the end of the session. Feedback attendance link will be shared in the QA session and will be available for 15 minutes. Certificates will be issued to only those who submits this feedback form. As a participant moderator, I would like to thank Mr. Sudhir Sharma, President AIMS, all board members, AIMS Secretariat, Dr. Ganesh Rao, and Dr. Shirude, who is the Regional Vice President of AIMS. So right now, I'm handing it over to our speaker, Siddharth Pathre. So Siddharth, over to you now.
Sure. Yes. Thank you very much, Neil, for the warm introduction. Thank you very much to all the participants here, willing to spend so much time in, looking into our topic that we've chosen today. I will be sharing my screen with you right now, and with the process where I'll be running you through what we've done in terms of AI analysis in our accreditation reports, basically. Okay. So the idea is, initially when what we noticed was that post-COVID, actually, about 2018, 2019-ish, a lot of the infrastructure or a lot of things in education started changing, wherein everybody wanted live lectures and so on. And post that, after 18-19, immediately in 2020, the National Education Policy was launched, probably after 1986 or 84, if I'm not wrong. So this National Education Policy, unlike the previous one, which mostly catered to education for all, NEP 2020 mostly caters to quality education for all. And that kind of made sense because as we look into how the colleges are going forward, how the education is going forward, how integral or how disruptive AI has become in education itself. So we thought, yes, of course, getting more quality into education, working with the National Education Policy or the people who are into the decision making, it will be very nice to give them some insights about what is happening in the entire process of accreditations on the floor. So with this, I'll start my presentation. Again, keeping NEP into light. This is a research project that we'll be publishing very soon with all the 7 criterias, with the best practices, what the best universities have done across India, especially. And why we chose universities is because institutes are essentially a sub-part or a subsection of universities, where more or less apart from it does cover everything. Universities do cover everything that mostly all institutes of all kinds have in their SSR reports. So moving to the introduction, I will be talking a little bit about the current scenario of NAAC implementation across universities. I'll be explaining a little bit about criteria 1, the curricular aspects and the components of it, and a little bit more about why we chose criteria 1 specifically. There were 7 criterias. We thought choosing why we chose criteria 1. So if you look at the entire scenario, the graphical scenario that is there, you will realize that across India, out of approximately 800 colleges that were there, we did some analysis, we did some regression testing on all the CGPAs, your grades, your cycles that were there, where a lot of universities had applied to. We did notice that a lot of South Indian states, especially like Tamil Nadu, have a very high GPA, CGPA, as compared to a lot of the central or the northern states. So we did realize, we did take samples from institutes like Vellore Institute of Technology and other institutes in the south, wherein the benchmarking or the upper echelons were justified. So in our entire process, our entire aim was to reach up to 50 institutes. We are at around 37, 38 institutes right now. But from our current synopsis, this is a very rough or a tentative scale on whatever the grading system or whatever the CGPA the institutes have across the country. A little bit of a challenge or a little bit of a observation that we also came across was that northeastern states are trying, like after Orissa, like West Bengal and all, they are having probably in a decent situation, but the northeastern states are still in a need where they need help, they need assistance, they need guidance from other either government or other good universities or other good institutions who can provide some kind of assistance to them. So a little bit of finding with regards to the entire setup among states was the same. Then yes, this was actually the CGPA graph that I was talking about, and union territories, mid-range performers, and so on. We are going to have a more detailed report rather about this on Academia as well, where we'll be publishing state-wise as well as region-wise CGPAs. And we also want to understand if state-wise education policies by the states, or let's say companies in the states, are they influencing the CGPA? Are they having any impact on the overall CGPA of your NAAC? Is the seriousness, or rather the other way around, is it that South Indian states or the better colleges who have good CGPA are having better jobs or are having better highly paid jobs? These are the kind of researches that we are in the pipelines for us. These are the kind of studies which kind of relate or directly relate accreditations and the job market, accreditations and the placement market, and so on. So again, the median of the current CGPA versus states, we did notice that Andhra Pradesh had pretty decent. There were Kerala was doing pretty fine. Karnataka is doing good, and so on. So like 3.3, 3.2 from whatever we had analyzed. Maybe our entire graph may be skewed a little because we were doing with 35. We did have a few more institutes in the entire setup to understand more. But the overall trends, if you ask me, be it whatever sample size, a smaller sample size or an overall sample size, did give us this particular analysis. As I had earlier mentioned, South Indian states were out competing, or not only in terms of CGPA or anything, but in general terms of application to NAAC was very much defined or was very much answerable in this visible basically in this analysis that we did. Again, now I spoke about the introduction. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the whys. Again, I've already covered a couple of points here, but the entire national education policy that has been implemented, the roadmap, the blueprint is still not very clear from our perspective as well. Like I personally have worked on ABET accreditations. I do believe that quality, choice-based systems, and a lot of other things have been introduced. Education for all, of course, is a parameter or a base of it. But NEP is pushed towards quality in education. NEP is pushed towards digitization. NEP is pushed towards credit bank system. Did give us an importance towards what the country needs to do as such. Like, if NEP needs to be implemented, it cannot be with the first, let's say 5, 10, 15% of the institutes. Or rather, NEP has to take into consideration the bottom 40% of the institutions if you really want to implement NEP on a national level. That was our observation, where if even if NEP is implemented, even if credit bank was to be implemented, if 50% of the colleges or universities do not have a track of the credit bank system, the transfer of credit becomes impossible or highly, very difficult rather. So this was the part. We wanted to address state-wise disparities because this happened to be one of our research projects for our company. And while we were, talking to more colleges, the more we were talking to IQAC heads, the more we were talking to the quality personnel of an institution, we realized the dearth of knowledge that we had across quite a few states here and there, and the good knowledge or the good feedbacks that we were able to collect. Let's say not even Maharashtra is also a very good place where accreditation now is being taken seriously. So a lot of these things coming into fray, we wanted to kind of make sense out of the data that is available with us, and not just using some Excel or something like that. We thought there are some amazing tools out there. I'll be talking more about the tools. I'll be talking more about the hows that are there, and so on. Apart from this, the whys that were the main why that we thought of was the best practices by all the universities combined. So small research as word count research that we thought of was that we compared a lot of, let's say criteria 1.1.1. What have institutes who have gotten A++ or who have gotten a better weightage score in criteria 1.1. What have they done different? What have criteria B++ have done different? So this is something that is in progress right now. We are going to come up with all the best practices from the better universities, better colleges. We also look forward to integrated support or kind of some good insights from people willing to contribute into this research, wherein we can probably get a nice template. Okay, these are the best practices that need to be followed for criteria 1, criteria 2, so on. And this template can be then furthermore shared to other states, because the next part of our research was not just states, it was interstates, wherein tier 1 cities, what are the kind of qualifications, what are the kind of understandings tier 1 cities have, tier 2 cities have, and tier 3 cities have. We haven't really gotten into the depths of that research right now because the data availability, the skewness was very high at this point of time. So we had to cherry pick institutes for our research. But the ideal case scenario would be to kind of have a good mentoring model, have a good framework for all these institutions, what have other institutions done, and so on. So the best practices by all the universities combined was one of the research parameters for us as to why. Okay. So this, the research started off in a very light note where we were just comparing a couple of colleges with, one college with A+, and one university with A+, and one university with a B. We found out a few results. We found out, the technicalities. We also found out, an interesting parameter out of this was plagiarism. A lot of colleges or universities are taking reference from A++ universities. A lot of data is kind of similar. The proofs are not matching. So a lot of challenges kind of prompted us to get into the whys of it. And yes. So this was the kind of scenario for us, like, we've done universities where accreditation was pivotal. We are going to populate this again. We'll be doing a video on this again. We'll be sharing this entire sheet, what are the, state-wise, tier 1-wise, tier 2-wise, and tier 3-wise reports on all the universities, we furthermore going into colleges, wherein we'll be able to bifurcate the number, state-wise, colleges that have gotten accreditations. Okay. Plus, now again, analysis, AI-driven analysis, as we talk about it, it's a matter of having the right questions. As academicians, we do expect, a lot of IQAC heads have a lot of different kind of queries, have a lot of different kind of questions that they have to kind of compare the best practices, or so we look forward to having IQAC heads also asking us questions about, shoot us a few feedbacks that we can address. We can ask our search engines to query for us, where we can find out more interesting results out of the entire accreditation base that we're developing. Again, the methodologies that we kind of focused on, the what of our studies. Our initial input, like we said, was to analyze 50 universities. So this was a list of 50 universities, 35 in the list right now, with your current cycles, current CGPA, current date of declarations. We have their SSR report. This is all online, so we could just download it from the website. So it's all open source data. The data that we have access to is all open source data. So in this way, we collected all the data that we had. We kind of then bifurcated the data. I'll show you more about this in the next slides. But then we made our own templates, what needs to be done in order for the AI engine of ours to read it properly, curriculum design, all the institutes, their information, if it is linked to it, and so on. Okay. So, yes. Coming back to it, our idea was initially like this, I would call it as the phase one of the research project, where we are only targeting criteria one. Again, I think I missed out on why criteria one, but essentially we thought criteria one is criteria one because it is criteria one. I would like to say that because criteria one essentially dictates the overall education of the institution. If the syllabus, if the curricular aspects, if the student-centric approaches in your education are kind of planned well before, everything falls more into fray. If your syllabus is well defined, if your courses are well qualified, if you've done all your COPOs, course outcomes, program outcomes mapping properly, I think everything else, criteria 3, the research gets more sorted, governance gets more sorted, your student engagements gets more sorted. So we started off with criteria 1, but our goal eventually, if we are able to get good analysis out of criteria 1, we would then go to criteria 2, 3, 4 with our learnings from criteria 1. The parameters that we studied, individual responses, like for example, I would like to show what we did here. So the parameters that we studied were, for example, let's say this is Birla Institute of Technology. We've done Birla Institute of Technology name, introduction of the university. We kind of did our own research and put in our own fray into this introduction. Academic flexibility, what have the institutes added in their academic flexibility? So we added a little bit of data there for academic flexibility. Again, beginners. So we had a lot of universities with different kind of grades, accreditations, and the introduction part. Why we took an introduction was kind of, we have an entire prompting system right here. Okay. So we had, I'll show you again. Let me just get into the fray of how we actually developed all these things. So for the what, we first of all went to the NAAC government, NAAC.gov.in website, where we did a little bit of research. We shortlisted universities one by one. So we started off with like 2, 3, 4 universities. Before the presentation today, we stopped at 35. Our aim is to reach 50 before we can publish our 50 criteria 1 results. So we went there first. This was a list of all the colleges. We kind of bifurcated, sorted them out with whatever data was available to us, the cycle number, the CGPA. We are tracking now. The next step is what are the cyclic progresses. So cycle 1, what was Birla's CGPA? Cycle 2, what was Birla's CGPA? Cycle 3, what was their CGPA? And compare Birla with Birla itself, for example, from cycle 1 to cycle 4. Our current setup is only an infrastructure which will let us do a lot of querying inside. We are just setting up our systems right now so that querying becomes very easy, whatever the questions are, whatever the answers you are expecting, and so on. So our analysis pertaining would be Birla Institute of Technology, what are they currently doing? Vignan, what are they doing, and so on. So 35 of those institutions. The next part that we did was, we created logic for asking. So for example, criteria 1.1, we have different sheet. Criteria 1.2, we have a different sheet. This is called our synopsis sheet, as we call it. And this is the index which we've developed. So the assumptions for ChatGPT, what ChatGPT needs to assume or understand from this entire document, information about this document. So I'll run you through this entire thing. Please provide us with feedback, because this is probably a first of a kind research. We might be making a lot of mistakes. I wouldn't call it mistakes, but a lot of things, a lot of inputs would be appreciated. So like these were the assumptions for ChatGPT that we had. We had a list of assumptions. We keep updating this entire assumption prompting that we call for ChatGPT. Information about this document, what the document need to consist of, so that ChatGPT as an engine itself needs to understand how this document needs to be treated. The entire key indicator collected in this document, curriculum flexibility, what is the weightage. Now the next part is probably going to be benchmarking about it. What academic flexibility actually means. So this goes into your general understanding of what NAAC is, and a synopsis of all the research of the universities that we've done here. Okay. So this is how we kind of formulated one sheet. So we have multiple such sheets which we've interlinked, and we use multiple tools to kind of get information from one sheet and another sheet, compare two sheets together, compare criteria 1, compare criteria 2, and so on. So this was our sheet that we did, and quite a long sheet. We had a lot of challenges because ChatGPT essentially had a very small word limit to it. So we had to integrate multiple tools, Julius, AI PDF. We had to do a lot of other kind of research here. So we standardized every single entry that goes on for every single university. The formatting and all is also consequences of trial and error, because ChatGPT was not able to understand our formatting unless we had finalized it and made it more standardized. Okay. So this was the overall structure that we did for, let's say, our 1.2 criteria, like the key metric. Okay. And we use our own tools also to kind of compile data, to get the compilation process essentially for all these criteria. We use our own tools basically for it, metrics collected, rules, and so on. Yes. So this was the setup part of ours, like the part where we cleaned the data, modified the data, compressed the data, structured the data, organized the data, and then out of all these things, once we were able to kind of get the data right, we then were able to set up our own tools, like asking questions to different kind of sheets and all. So the more curious part about what we are actually trying to do here was the current usage of tools that we've done. Of course, ChatGPT, we use, we have the pro versions, the entire research team of ours, we use ChatGPT Pro version for us, which is really advanced at this point of time and very helpful to kind of get a synopsis, or rather, SWOT analysis kind of things that ChatGPT was able to afford to us. AI PDF was another nice tool to convert all our data into PDF files, which made it like a database for us essentially. Julius AI is a very nice tool. I would recommend this tool to everybody who want to do qualitative and quantitative research around it. Is when we were supposed to find out and the modalities of the as I mentioned, the cyclic progressions of universities and all. We've been using Julius for the same. The graphs and all that we showed earlier, we were using Julius for the same. And this is a very interesting tool because it is not only able to identify quantitative metrics, but it is also able to do text-based analysis. So for example, SWOT analysis, comparing two universities together, creating a standard benchmark of what needs to be in criteria 1.1.1 with respect to the inputs that we've given, and then comparing your data so that if you were to kind of gauge, qualitative analysis kind of becomes very difficult because quantitative metrics in SSR have already been defined. The benchmarks have been defined very well. But if you talk about your qualitative metrics, most people, when they are doing their internal audits, either give it an 80%, 90%, or some institutes that we've come into with touch with, give them 100% for their entire QLM reports. So what we thought of was, is it really justifiable? Can we really make sense? Can we create a pedagogy, or can we make a comparative analytics where, let's say, a benchmarking kind of an analytics where the best guys, the A++ guys have gotten this. So let's compare their entire framework. So what have they done better and so on. So we've done a little bit of analysis on that as well. That gave us a little bit of a report regarding the best practices and so on. I'll share those practices as well. Browser OP was another good tool that helped us because collecting SSR reports from multiple universities, multiple websites, and multiple pages, like, the benchmarking pages were different, the reporting pages were different. So Browser OP really helped us to accumulate everything and get this sheet right, because, essentially getting sheets like these right. And I've hidden a lot of columns here, but, scrapping your websites, creating those sheets and all. These tools were very helpful for us. And of course, AI is, Chat GPT if you call it, or Julius AI if you call it. They also hang up to a point where they are not able to give the right analysis after a point. So like, the trusted, you can just use Jupyter and Python, get your regression test if you have the data right, and so on. So not everything that we did was on Python, but a lot of this was statistical modeling as well. So of course, which is the base to AI analysis. So we use these tools on a larger scale. Okay. So what we found out in our analysis so far, more than the comparative analysis and the next stage of the analysis where we'll be able to find out how to do the analysis, we found 3 good techniques for AI analysis that we will be using to segregate the best, the templates and all. It is possible I can do a live presentation also a little bit on those fronts. But a bird, as we call it, it understands the context of the words. So like word-based analysis, if institutes are using the same keywords, like as they call it, a bird is used in SEOs, as you call it, search engine optimizations, a lot of these techniques. So what it does is it kind of gets the words, it gets the context right for your entire wordings. It sees how many times the word has been used, and do words really have an impact on your entire SSR, or is that the kind of way you are able to analyze? So this was all ChatGPT's output. How can we analyze these, qualitative metrics better? Quantitative is an easy game. It is already qualified. Like, you have your numbers right, you have your benchmarkings right. So it kind of makes more sense there. So BERT is very simple in that sense. It just does your textual analysis as such. GPT analysis. This is ChatGPT's the foundation of ChatGPT basically, wherein it does your summarizing part. So like if BERT is able to do word-wise analysis, what GPT is able to do is GPT is able to summarize. So not everything ChatGPT was able to do. So we have to get into your what do you call it? Your regression analysis, and also GP generative pertain transformers can be, it can help in it. More or less this thing is covered in ChatGPT itself. You don't really have to use these tools to kind of use a different tool to get summaries, to get an overview, to get a breakdown. In fact, even predictive analysis was possible here. So if an institution is able to kind of get their structure right and able to ask the right questions with these, we are getting the frameworks. I think we'll be sharing our emails with everybody, whoever wants to get it. Is just an open source service that we will be doing for analyzing the qualitative metrics for universities and so on. So that is something that we will be doing eventually. And the transformer architecture, again, this is a combination of the previous two, wherein the words and the summaries, are they kind of making sense, and are they having some kind of patterns within them which is leading to better results, and so on. So that was the synopsis or a summary of what at least the models that need to be replicated or implemented, or that we have been doing to get a finding research for our entire reportings basically. So I think I pretty much run through the entire product here. I will again get into the depths of whatever research we've been doing. If you want, we can do a little bit of a real-time analysis of what is required. Let us run through that as well, and so on. So yes, if there are any questions regarding to any particular point, like you want to ask about GPT, or what kind of analysis we are up to right now in terms of criteria 1, any other specific findings that we've come across, or anything that you want us to note down and come back with you later on. So feel free to go ahead and ask me these questions with regards to this. I'll be more than happy to help. And like I said, again, this is a research project that is going to be published on academia and other portals as well. This is going to be an open source research project where institutes will be able to put in their data, compare their data, qualitative data into this, and get a synopsis or an understanding where they are going to lie, which accreditation grade they are going to lie in that particular pointer, for example. What is the weightage they might score with comparison with other, universities out there or other institutes out there with these things. So this is a pretext of our entire AI analysis that we've done. So far, we were able to find out some interesting analysis based on your what do you call it, state-wise analysis, CGP analysis, a little bit on the job front as well. We were able to find out, and so on. Yes. So I think yes. Anything else that anybody wants to have questions about? Let me just run through this. Let me share if anything, there's anything more that we have in file, how we've kind of documented all these things. We would like to show you a little bit of that setup as well. Yes. So I think what I'll do is I'll show you how we've been doing research as well. I don't know how many of you have used chat GPTs. I'm sure many of you, everybody's used chat GPT. But the way we do it is like, I'll show you my personal setup as well here. Maybe that can help. So there are a lot of plugins as such. Whenever I'm starting a new project, I first of all have to define the 3 plugins that I have to enable. So these are the plugin stores, AI-based plugin stores. AI PDF is essentially when there is a large data that you need to kind of make analysis of, where ChatGPT kind of has only like a 300 or a 400 word limit. But our entire this page, the PDF file that I have to share, is essentially, and it includes Sanskrit and all these wordings, is about 110 pages right now, this page, this PDF, and with complex jam-packed wordings and so on. So for that, we use AI PDF. A lot of time when I have to kind of question or, do the, just the coding part of it, using Jupyter and all, I do the, ask the code part for it. Browser OP, as I suggested, when I have to come across multiple, so yeah, this map, and also we do use like Earth, the map that we used earlier. So this was based on the location. So we just uploaded the sheet. We were able to get an entire geography-wise map locations and everything. So the more institute we start adding, we will have a real-time dashboard that NEP can also use with regards. This is the total overall CGPA that Maharashtra has. This is the total CGPA that Tamil Nadu has. You can go tier wise. So we'll be using this particular plugin for the same link reader. So a lot of times we don't have the PDF, but we just have the entire link. So I don't use this link reader. We have multiple other basically PDFs for it. YouTube videos, and a lot of learnings, a lot of things that we did out here in this presentation were a part of your YouTube learnings and Wikipedia learnings also. So what is criteria and also these are some amazing plugins. This is an amazing setup that ChatGPT helps you come up with, and it can just come up with graphical representations on the go. This is not the right data. This is not what I expected, honestly speaking. These queries and all also didn't go right. But what I'd done was I'd uploaded this Excel sheet right here. And I tried to get some bell curves, okay, with regards to CGPA and their states and everything like that. But I wasn't able to do it here right now. Yes. So I'd done some NAAC summaries. One second, let me just run through this. Yes, so this is what I did. I shared my drive. It showed for Goa University, whatever the documents was. I did a little bit of, this is
your screen is not visible actually.
Yes. So I've done some NAAC. Okay, my screen is not visible, right? Was it visible up until this point?
It is visible, or like it is stuck on academic flexibility, your presentation. So
oh my God,
showing a different screen. Yeah, just like move to that screen. I was just about to tell you that, but somebody just noticed.
Okay, 1 second. I'll do the desktop share. Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible now.
You were just stuck at this slide for so long?
Yeah, we thought that you are speaking, but then
Okay.
now, yeah, you are sharing. So
Okay.
yeah.
So I was talking more about Chat GPT, and I was talking about an individual, university research basically. So what we did was we had our own, individual file for Goa University, for example. We uploaded the PDF. We got the general synopsis for Goa University, date of declaration, and so on. And then it started giving us more information: the staff rooms, the HOD office, libraries equipped, and so on. So you can keep, this is how we kind of, we had a few prompts, as I had mentioned earlier. These prompts got um, converted into the more realistic data that we added into our sheets right here. So like we had to compress all this data. You cannot add the entire NAAC report and expect more crisp analysis. So this was the part where we did data compressing and all of that. So a lot of work went into this, going into 35 universities individually, and so on. And finally what we did was, so like I said before this presentation, to do some cyclic analysis. Is it that, of course, which gave a positive result, but that wasn't the right analysis. With respect to cycles, were institutes able to get better grades? Yes, the answer was yes. So it wasn't really, that were the search basically. I also moved to Julius. Like, I don't know if I'd shown the screen and you were able to see this Julius earlier as well. So this is the tool that I was talking about earlier in my presentations, wherein Julius is able to do all the three kind of, your regression tests and so on, wherein it not only analyzes data, but also analyzes words. So this was the tool that we kind of, when I was talking about the mean, medians, and all the graphical representation that I required state-wise. So we use tools like Julius here to get, state-wise analytics for the country right now, and so on. This was AI Drive that I was talking about. We are currently using this as our repository for our, the PDF files and so on. Yes. So this was our entire setup. This is our entire setup. That is, as we are talking, we are able to kind of go through these things, and this will be the open source. Everything that we are doing right now will be open source and will be available for all the colleges for QLMs eventually. There is a little bit of work in progress, and we are assuming that yes, of course, if the template is ready, if you upload the data, let's say for criteria 1.1.1, you have some qualitative metric that you've written. If you upload that in the system, as opposed to just guessing, the system will be able to tell you, comparing it with institutes with A++, A, B++, and so on, and it will tell us where our report for 1.1.1 is currently at, what is the score that is going to be possible for our current reporting, and so on, with respect to the comparison basically. And the final thing that we are also trying to achieve is the proofs. Right now, the proofs and everything, a lot of universities had it down, so we could not really gauge the proofs that were added by the universities right now. But if we're able to get we did get it for a couple of universities, but that wasn't really enough. So if universities are able to, good universities with A++ are able to share their proof formattings, like Vellore Institute of Technology has an amazing summary sheet, as they call it, which a lot of other universities did not have. So if we are able to get that, we'll be able to do good analysis on the kind of proofings or the kind of proof structuring that universities have done, and so on. So yes, this was more about, this is another of our sheets that we every single sheet of ours is essentially this long, 200 400 pages long, and we have multiple such sheets. So we've been doing this as a hobby project. We've been giving internships to students to kind of go out all out and ask whatever questions you want. So the setup part is getting there as we speak, and so on. Yes, so I think I've given a brief gist about whatever we've done. We are not experts in AI by no means. We are into technology, but as AI is going forward, we do believe that AI has to be an integral part of every education system moving forward. It has to be the teachers or the IQAC head's best friend. It has to be an academician's best friend, and so on. So integrating with AI, getting whatever the rudimentary stuff that a college has to do can be automated. That is our idea. And moving forward, I do believe that NEP, since NEP was launched in 2020, ChatGPT kind of came into the limelight towards 2021, 2022. So if NEP was launched a little later, I am pretty sure there will be another version of NEP which will have a lot of emphasis, a lot of focus that will be on artificial intelligence in education, be it criteria one, be it your educational delivery of education, and so on. So yes, this was a very quick presentation on us for what our entire agenda is with regards to our 50 universities target. If there is any university or if there's any college which would want us to participate and help them with their analysis as well, more than happy to do it. Like I said, it's not something that we'll be doing more such open sessions, doing such maybe we'll be doing more such live rounds basically, wherein AI analysis or comparison can be done real time in front of everybody, so that people can do it at their for their own colleges as well. So yes, I think this was more from my end. I would really, I don't know how the presentation was. I hope I was able to add at least a little value to your time here. I'm really happy that you guys gave me this opportunity. Dr. Ganesh Rao especially, thank you so much, sir. I think that would be it from my end. Neil, if you could.
Yeah, we will be moving towards Q&A now. So I have a few questions from the people who joined this meeting. So I would like to first talk about these questions. So the one question was, can the analysis give an early picture of what needs to be implemented?
The analysis can give an overview, but the idea is it has to be done before the first AQR report, or maybe first, second, or the second AQR report, because the analysis will give you the steps of what you need to really do, how you need to really organize everything, but it will not be able to do things that you have not already done. Correct. So it will help me set up benchmarks for qualitative. Okay, I need to have 50 events. I need to have 50 more programs in this category, because maybe let's say Vellore Institute of Technology or Birla has focused more on artificial intelligence and so topic. So is that what is giving points? So it will give you an early picture for preparation, not for compilation.
Okay. There is one more question which somebody has asked, that during the AI analysis, comparing with the NAAC criteria 1, they have asked some specific precautions which we need to do, take care of, or we need to avoid these things while doing the analysis.
Okay. Do we need to take any precautions? Is that the question?
Or yeah, precautions, or let's say the steps to be avoided, while doing analysis for I think for their particular institute.
Not really, to be honest, not really. I mean, what you are doing is kind of doing an audit. So all the data. So one of the things that I really noticed was when we were talking to IQAC heads and so on, it is very important to understand that ultimately all your AQRs are submitted online, all your SSR reports are submitted online. So the data that the IQAC team is working with, it's not a perpetual data, it's a data that is going to be in the open realm eventually. So if you are comparing your own data initially as an audit round with other institutions for comparison's sake, there is no real precaution that needs to be done. But of course, there is FDPs on prompting and need to be right, because as I personally also call it, garbage in, garbage out. If the prompts are not nice, if the prompts are not correct or deliberate, it can make some conceptual errors if you have not really specified something. So in our case, it was very critical for us to kind of maintain and manage this very well, because in the early days, in the early part of our research, what was happening was Birla's research was being getting shown as Vignan's research and so on. And there were like a lot of to's and fro's because we just pasted data there. So whatever you're going to use ChatGPT for or any AI tool for, the most important thing are the prompts. So if I were to just give you a gist of the kind of prompts I do for general this thing, what do you call it? Let me just do, okay, AI analysis. Let me just see what the prompts are. Let me show a better one. Data extraction analysis, PDF processes. See, my entire window, if you see, you will see not just mine. But if you think about it, see, my entire prompt, I don't treat ChatGPT as a machine. I treat it as another person I'm talking to. And whenever I address that person as a person, I realize I have to give it enough information. So one of my personal cues is, hi, ChatGPT is something that I start with. It's something very logical. And I think Sam Altman also had mentioned this earlier. Because when you talk to ChatGPT as a machine, it will give you an output as a machine. When you talk, see, I will need your huge favor from your intelligence, information. I am a NAAC IQC coordinator from my university. My university responsibilities are so and so, is to create a best plan. So whenever I'm talking to ChatGPT, I cannot just tell them, create a summary for me. It will not understand the pretext of it, or it will not understand what I really want to get done. So the better your input, the better it is. So see, this is the output that they gave me. So how do I share a PDF file with you? Because I wasn't able to do it in this one. So and all these things. This was earlier this thing. So one feedback that I would really give is, you don't have to really take any precautions per se, but be careful while you're prompting to ChatGPT, because the more humane you are with ChatGPT, the more humane you are with Julius also, for that matter. Julius is amazing as such if you're able to use it right. It is, +1 on ChatGPT as well, because it does use ChatGPT keys and everything underneath it as well. So prompt it as if it's a human, prompt it as if it's your advisor, and it will be giving you the best results.
Okay. There is one more question, which is not regarding to AI analysis, but if you know the answer, we would like to have the answer for this. Somebody has asked that DIM university's fee structure is different from the government and aided institutes.
Correct.
Does NAAC grading factor that? I have the answer, but in your case, if you have it, like, you can just tell this. Yeah.
Yes. So I think it's a very interesting question, and something that we've been coming across by a lot of government universities and all. Meaning, who is going to pay for the expenses? Of course, agreed. We spoke to a chain of institutions in Pune with 100 plus or 150, 200 approximate institutes under their belt. They were like, fine, we do agree that NEP is important. Your upgrading is important, technological implementation is important, learning management is important, accreditation management is important, ERP is important. But who is going to foot in the cost for all these things? Is the government going to pay for it? Because deemed universities can up the fees, increase the fees, and just whatever the cost, the learning management systems or automation or AI tools are there, they can pitch in. But the problem that the government also needs to address or answer, maybe a small answer to that, I mean, Neil, of course, you can add on to this, was some integration of CSR. Because, companies and corporates, as we've noticed from our end also, we need people, we really need good manpower workforce. But the skilling and development and the kind of quality, it's a chicken and egg problem. If we don't increase the quality, we are not going to have good students. If we don't have good students, there are no jobs. Hiring is going to be at it will be at a standstill. So government needs to understand this in a perspective where how, because most institutes, deemed universities versus government, the number of students in government are much more basically. So government needs to understand how they are going to integrate, how they are going to empower the non-deemed universities or non-private universities with financial resources, with technological resources, and so on. So yes, it's a chicken and egg problem, and it's a hard problem. We ourselves, we consider, are a big stakeholder, universities, institutes are a stakeholder, teachers are a stakeholder, government is a stakeholder, students are a stakeholder, parents are a stakeholder, your job market is a stakeholder, and now so are the technology providers, because how else is this going to be possible? So yes, of course, it's a big problem. It's Neil, if you want to add to this, more than happy.
Yep. What Siddharth is trying to say that to answer that particular question was, yes, funding basically affects the NAC grading, but not actually from my point of view, like in a direct way, but different pointers. If you check that NAC asks for how well you utilize the funds you are receiving through fees, how do like how good you make the mobilization of the fees in research, how are you helping your professors, let's say if for simple fellowship if he is going, how you are utilizing the money, are you helping him to do that? So overall it comes to what I can say, it is a cycle, like you get less and then you provide less, and then since that particular pointer has a benchmarking that you need to provide this much amount of money, for professors, let's say for research or something like that, in case if you don't have funding through the fees, you are definitely going to lose marks there. Not directly, but let's say indirectly,
Directly,
since the
yes.
7 pointers, what we call it as rainbow pointers, because there are seven, you can say there are 7 colors. The person who invented, like, who added these criteria to NAC, he was a physicist. And that's why he gave that rainbow strategy to add these criteria. That the one institution should have 7 different factors, but all those are interlinked. So that was from my side. There is one more question which they would like to know the answer of. That do you believe that the analysis will be more productive if we check its impact? Let's say criteria one's impact on criteria two, criteria two's impact on criteria three, and since these are interlinked, do you think that analysis should have these strategies to be added while doing the analysis? That let's add 7 criteria together and then check how they are interlinked for everything.
Possible, theoretically, hypothetically, that's the direction we are wanting to go into, because a lot of those keywords used, like research or subjects that they've introduced, and then the placements and all, are those words in criteria 1 or criteria 2 or criteria 3? So this is with the first bird that, as we mentioned, we'll be using it there. Is criteria, this is the only synopsis or a relation based this thing that we could find out. So comparing criteria 1, if there are any keywords with respect to your COPOs, definitely we are looking at these possibilities, how the impact can be on other criteria. Because as we said, criteria 1 is criteria 1 because it is criteria 1. That's a synopsis. But yes, criteria 1 will have synopsis with everything else, will have synergy with everything else. The other criteria may or may not have it to a larger extent. We will figure it out as and when we go ahead. And definitely your emails, and we will be shooting the emails to you all, whoever are excited about the research and outputs. Ask us more questions. We are, more than happy to help.
Well, thank you for the answer. So we are heading towards the end of this session. I would like to give 1 more minute for people, if they have any questions, they can simply put their questions in the Zoom chat box, or they can also post it on the webinar over there, so that we would like to help you based on whatever the problems or whatever the questions you are having. But there is one suggestion from my side also, as while doing analysis, AI analysis, we needed, like we thought that the universities or the colleges should at least have one paid account of, let's say, any AI, which is going to help them. What I want to say, that not only analysis of, let's say, criteria one, maybe NAC, maybe all your other things, maybe sorting your HR problems, maybe emails, whatever it is. But that
One paid
account, yeah, is going to help you to sort all these like problems on a larger level, both administrative, research wise, everything, because uh, these things are getting better, and we have also like help research students, the PhD students, doing their analysis using GPT-4. So that type of like advancement they have already gotten into. So since like, this is not related to topic, but like somehow related to topic, I just wanted, since all of you are from different colleges, I assume, try to have one AI account which is paid and which is definitely going to help you. Yeah.
Anyone
Just
AI
a
account. It
second.
doesn't have to be. ChatGPT is most simplest. You can just have one ChatGPT account. You don't have to have the more expensive or the complex solutions with other tools and all. ChatGPT paid account will suffice for all. The one ChatGPT account will suffice for the entire college if used correctly.
There are two more questions and then we'll be stopping. The one is it possible to follow uniform syllabus in all universities in coming days? Because different universities had different things, and because the curriculum one, like basically criteria one, is more on the programs and all, maybe they have asked this question. So yeah, what do you think? That is it possible to follow uniform syllabus?
Not really. I mean, that is what deemed universities or institutes should have the freedom to kind of create their own courses with the rate at which syllabus is changing, redundancy is changing. Maybe the courses about what we analyze. Another small research that we done was about from all the courses taught in mechanical engineering, because we had a lot of mechanical engineering students. About 70 to 80% of the syllabus is redundant right now from your general not deemed university but government, private government universities and all. 70 to 80% of the syllabus is not really helpful. So who is going to decide the standardization? Why should that be the standardization? Are all the questions, because what needs to be taught is up to the institute as per their strength. So yes, we need a lot of revision in the syllabus. We cannot really, over the next couple of years, maybe looking at the next cycle of accreditations, I do hope and believe that at least 60-70% of the syllabus is changed, because criteria one also wants you to change the syllabus. If you look at, I think 1.1, 1.2.1, if I'm not wrong, it does want you to keep updating your syllabus, because running out of syllabus, or the syllabus being irrelevant or redundant is very likely, and then that directly affects on the skill and development. So yes, having a uniform syllabus will not really help. Permutation of combination, errors, 5 might work, 15 might not work. It all depends. So that would be my guess again.
Yeah. There is one more question. Is there a best practice to improve the prompts given to AI?
Definitely. Most likely, like we ourselves host FDPs on prompting and so on. Not just the prompts, like the prompts that you give to AI, ChatGPT. This is very basic now. Like the prompts that you give to ChatGPT are basic. How you interact with ChatGPT or any AI tool rather, it's also very important. I'll try to show you one of the. I'll show. Let me just see if I have a coding based. Let me see if I have a. Game dev. Okay. So if you think about it, my prompts are more than the output that ChatGPT has to give me. So as I said, this is a very old prompt of mine, so this might not even be the most latest. So hi ChatGPT, it gives me that humane feeling. Assumption. So see, ChatGPT, if you think about it, it on a larger extent, it just divides, cuts, divides. It just does bubble sorting, or if on a very logical level, if you think about it, just does bubble sorting. Okay. So the more assumptions you give it, the more information you give it, the more focus you give it. I always ask it to assume something. So if you saw in my first thing, assume that you are the IQAC head of an Indian university. Assume that you have gone through 5 accreditation cycles so far. Assume that you have done NBA, ABET, NIRF accreditation so far. So from a large plethora of information that ChatGPT has to get their a logic out of, you've already cut that down to by 95%, 95% to give it a more focused approach. So my first and the foremost this thing that I do is I provide assumptions to ChatGPT. Then I provide information. So assumptions, information based on assumptions, give it a more clarity to that information that you are providing. Okay, is this a single player game? A single player game does not have a physical game, because I've already spoken about development here. So it will not think about cricket, football, Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi. It will talk about ping pong, your other games and all. I need to complete this. And then my requirements. So a base format is assumption, information, requirements. This is a standard format that is good, but of course there are many better prompts depending on what you want to do. Like for example, when I'm doing my product deck for a company, my prompts are next level. Like let me just show you some prompts. It takes SaaS, whatever thought or whatever. If you think about it, my prompts are larger than my the output that ChatGPT provides me. That's the kind of synopsis. But yes, everything depends on your prompts. Nothing. ChatGPT is only as good as how your prompts are. So assumption, information, and requirements is a very standard practice. But there are other 2-3 key fields or key information sets or the way you have to present information. It's very nice. And it also, in fact, ChatGPT prompting can be a course in itself. It's that important right now. Yes.
Yeah, it would be really great for in future if somebody introduces a course on AI that how to like prompt engineering, because the courses are already there. But yeah, from anyone of you, try to implement that. There is one last question, which is more regarding to, I'm going to answer it because most of the questions we have answered. So we are at the end of this session. I would like to thank speaker Siddharth Pathre, who has given us valuable information on how AI can be used to integrate with your NAAC related academic criteria one, which is your mostly focus on academics, and how it can be related to criteria 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in future. We would like to thank Mr. Sudhir Sharma, President of AIMS, all the board members, AIMS Secretariat, Dr. Ganesh Rao sir, and then Dr. Shiroday, who is the Regional Vice President of AIMS. This webinar was streaming live on AIMS YouTube channel, so you can just follow that. Somebody asked the question if this session has been recorded. So the one who has asked this question, this is the answer, that it is available on YouTube channel, AIMS YouTube channel. So please follow that. But thank you from my side also for being patient to attend this session for 1 hour. Hopefully you like the presentation, and over to you, Siddharth, if you want to conclude the meeting in next minute. So
I think that would be it. Thank you so much, Neil. The link, you guys want the presentation link, it will be shared. Let us know how. We'll be sharing the link with you as well. And any other documents?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.